Hello there. Welcome to this episode of Force Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm going to take a deep dive look at Part 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, before we get started, I'm inviting you to join the conversation with us. We can be found on Twitter at Force Ghost Pod. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok just by searching Force Ghost Conversations. We look forward to connecting with you on those platforms. And also, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your listening site of choice. And without further ado, it's time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Force Ghost Conversations. And I'm so excited to dive into Part 5 of this epic Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But before we get to that, let's do some news roundup that took place over the past week in the galaxy far, far away. So obviously, first, the Obi-Wan Kenobi series has released its 6th and final episode this week. Now, if you haven't yet, be sure to check out this amazing show on Disney Plus, and then come back here to Force Ghost Conversations to follow along with all of our excellent coverage here. I'm going to say it's excellent because, little humble brag here, right? But, go check out our part 1 through 5 discussion. That'll include this episode. Then next week we'll have part 6 out, and that will basically conclude all of our discussion on Obi-Wan Kenobi, for at least for now. Also, the full trailer for the Lego Star Wars Summer Vacation Special came out this past Tuesday. And this trailer rocks and features a fun adventure with our heroes Finn, Rey, C-3PO, and others. Now, also featured in this trailer and in the special overall, Weird Al Yankovic recorded a song titled Scarif Beach Party. Now, that's pretty cool. The show comes to Disney Plus on August 5th, and we'll certainly be talking about it here on Force Ghost Conversations when the time comes. Furthermore, for fans of the music from Obi-Wan Kenobi, the soundtrack of this hit series will be released on streaming platforms this coming June 27th. The music features the theme that was composed by none other than John Williams, with the other parts of the score handled by Natalie Holt. I'm definitely excited to blast this soundtrack all summer long. And then finally, in the same realm of music, legendary composer John Williams announced this past week that he will be retiring from scoring films following his work on the upcoming Indiana Jones 5 project. Williams' well-deserved retirement comes after a storied career with memorable work on all of the Star Wars Skywalker Saga films, the Indiana Jones Adventures, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Jaws, and Jurassic Park, just to name a few. There's many, many other amazing scores that he's done as well. It was amazing to celebrate his 90th birthday back at Star Wars Celebration, and we at Force Ghost Conversations wish him a happy retirement. And that's all that we have this week in the Cloud City gossip portion of the show. And on the other side of this break, we'll do our deep dive look at Part 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Stay tuned, folks. Okay, everyone, it is time to get into our main topic for today, the deep dive look at Part 5 of this epic Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Now, I haven't been so good about this in the other episodes for Obi-Wan Kenobi, but this is your spoiler warning. If you haven't watched Part 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, or frankly, any of the other parts of Obi-Wan Kenobi, parts 1 through 4, or even 5, or even 6, right? Who knows? This is your time to pause this episode, go watch the episode, and then come back, and we'll be here for you. We're not going anywhere, so just get ready, and we'll be pause the episode and come back and have a good time. Let's enjoy the greatness that is this series. Also, another caveat before we get started here, I think I'm doing better in terms of COVID recovery. So thank you all for your outreach and support in terms of that. I hope you've enjoyed the extra episodes that we've been releasing just to get caught up from all of Star Wars Celebration and all the news and trailers and announcements and all that stuff that came out. Like, there's a lot more coming, so get ready for that. But especially as I've been handling COVID, I really appreciate you all, being patient and understanding as I've been coughing my way through a lot of the recent episodes. It's gotten better over the last couple of days, so I hope that I just sound extra nasally. But hopefully that subsides too in the coming days and weeks too. So hopefully we're on the downside of this all. I've got water here just in case, but if I do start coughing and all that stuff, I apologize in advance, and I'll probably apologize when that time comes as well. But until then, let's get into this episode. And boy, golly gee, is part 5 really, really some special Star Wars storytelling. And I'm so excited to get into all this with you all here. So, I mean, the beginning. Come on. That opening, ladies and gentlemen, I just about lost it. Let me set the scene for you all. I was sitting on my couch, casually enjoying the episode with my wife. Now, I hope you all know I was suffering pretty mightily from COVID at the time of this episode's release. Like it was like day 2. So I all the symptoms hit me. And it was not a great day overall for how I was feeling, but this episode really subsided my symptoms for at least an hour. I watched it again, another hour, right? And just thinking about it made me feel really good inside. But the first thing that I thought in my head was, "Wow, golly gee, that's Coruscant." And then I saw him, Anakin Skywalker in the flesh, ladies and gentlemen. Hayden Christensen's truly magnificent return to the role that helped me become a super fan of Star Wars. Ah, be still my heart. Just seeing the back of his head and the Padawan braid sent me right back to 2003 again. And then seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi too, with his quintessential Attack of the Clones look. I mean, come on, that is iconic. The beard, the mullet-esque hair. Let's go. What an epic way to start this episode. You know you're in for a good ride here once you see that. I mean, come on now. Let's celebrate Attack of the Clones on its 20th anniversary, and this is a great way to do so. The two engage in a training exercise of lightsaber skill, and to my understanding, this scene probably takes place just before the events of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, based on Anakin's lightsaber and the hair. And I also believe that Anakin has both of his hands in this. So, he does lose one in Attack of the Clones. So that's a pretty good indicator there. Now, to me, the look of both characters are fantastic. It just goes to show how well both actors have aged over the years. And to me, it didn't appear that they did any de-aging, and that perhaps they did just some touch up of makeup over the to make them appear younger, kind of similar to what they did in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with Kurt Russell in that intro scene there. But overall, good stuff for me. I love the Vader line at the beginning where he's like telling Reva, "I am not interested in civilities." Right? Vader is on the hunt for one thing and one thing alone: the bane of his existence, which is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Vader then rewards Reva with the status of being the Grand Inquisitor. Now, she got this power and status that she was looking for from the onset, and we're going to learn a bit more about her in this episode, but she notes that they are on their way to Jabim to end Kenobi once and for all, now that they have that tracker on Lola. Vader wants to break Kenobi, as he alludes to later in the episode, make him suffer, bring pain onto him, right? Revenge is a dish best served cold, Vader. So we're going to see how this all plays out here. So on Jabim there, we also learn that Haja is still alive too. Remember from part 2, Kumail Nanjiani's character? I think he still has some good within him to do what is right when it is right. I'm very excited to see this character in future Star Wars storytelling. Very intrigued about this. I think he was graced by seeing a Jedi just at the right time and was able to do the right thing. And let's see where he goes from there. So unfortunately, there's also evil Lola, and that's what we are calling this iteration of the droid. Come on now, because good Lola is good. Evil Lola does everything possible to hinder their evacuation, right? Just being a mosquito on the wall that is just kind of being a pain. I do love Obi-Wan later reflecting upon that wall and reading the great line, "The light will fade, but is never forgotten." Seeing the lightsaber remnants too, I mean, come on, that is excellent. I'm curious what it does mean for Obi-Wan, though. Perhaps that he's thinking in his head that he's not alone, that the fight that he's doing is good. The galaxy still has a chance for the light to return. And I love the work that this path is doing here. It's really this this network system of people still believing in the cause of the Jedi. And even then, right, they're even if they don't believe in what the Jedi stand for and what they're doing, they just don't agree with what the Empire is doing and just killing people that are force sensitive and taking out people that were formerly Jedi, right? They're just seeing people being oppressed and they're standing up for it. And this early rebel cell in a way is just doing what is right because it is right, ladies and gentlemen. That's a big theme and takeaway from all this, and that's something that I really wanted to strike down uh, on the record for Obi-Wan Kenobi overall. So I did love the juxtaposition in this episode of the flashbacks to the fight in Attack of the Clones, or that pre-Attack of the Clones fight, I guess that we should call it. Who knows Vader better than anybody else, right? Perhaps the man who raised him since he was 9 years old and taught him everything he knows. Obi-Wan knows that Vader does not have the patience for a siege and will do everything maniacally that he can in order to get Obi-Wan Kenobi to reveal himself. The rest of the path folks are insignificant in regards to Vader's gaze, and that will come up maybe again later. I don't know. Can I just say too, the fight choreography for the flashback sequences are so good, and frankly, it was really reminiscent of the Attack of the Clones work. Yes. I am well fed today, my friends. This is a really great episode for anybody who is a big fan of Attack of the Clones and the prequel era in general. So in this sequence, we hear these great banter lines back and forth between each other, and there's some really just very teachable lessons here, right? A Jedi's goal is to defend life, not take it. Mercy doesn't defeat an enemy master, and it's such a great conversation amidst a fight. It's a teachable lesson that evidently Anakin has not learned. I mean, just yet, right? One day he will literally see in front of him how mercy does allow someone to be overcome, right? Luke Skywalker throwing down his blade, right? I am a Jedi, just like my father before me. There's a wonderful playfulness to this fight that just warms my heart as well. Not only is it for the fans a reconnection of these two heroes who are so impactful to many, but you can tell from the performance of Ewan and Hayden that they had fun putting this sequence together as well. Now, Obi-Wan Kenobi is becoming a leader again, ladies and gentlemen. He's inspiring everyone to the shared goal of survival and defense on Jabim, and it's good to have him back. He's a great friend that I've missed very, very much. Now, from a strategic standpoint, forcing the Imperials into one entrance is very smart since it allows the defenders to consolidate resources. Obi-Wan is showing off some of that general wisdom that he picked up during the Clone Wars. That's really cool to see on film in a way. Obi-Wan putting all of his confidence in Leia is also a great example of leadership too. Do you trust me? Well, I trust her, he says. The forcefulness of his communication allows the rest of the team, particularly Roken, that Kenobi is not playing around and that each person will have to do a part in the upcoming battle. Now, here's something important though. The call from Bail, right? He says, "Your silence worries me." He announces that he'll be going to Tatooine if he has not heard from him soon, so that he can prepare Owen to defend the boy, aka Luke, right? Here's the question: is Bail being impatient? I understand his viewpoint here, and it is all for the cause and for the protection of the children, but, uh, you know, I don't know how much time has passed since he went out on this quest to gather Leia. Um, and I understand as a father, as someone that's protecting the quest right now, he's worried, of course. I'm sure it's taking up every part of his day and all that, but you know, give him some time. Give him some time, Garrett. So s- Tala has some really sage wisdom here that is really good for Obi-Wan just in general, right? Right? It's about this emotional healing that Obi-Wan is going through, and that's a real big arc through the series, right? She says, sometimes you can't forget, but you can fight to make things better. And that is really sage wisdom. She continues to be a standout in the series. This is that notion again from earlier on in the series, right? Actions speak louder than words. The markings on her blaster holder are a visual representation of how many rights that she has done. Now, I'm sure in her head she's probably concerned that, like, I will never do enough good in order to right the wrongs in my record. But there is a, like, you know what I mean? It's just like that visual representation of I am still being a force for good and I'm choosing to be this way instead of choosing not to be, which is a really, really cool thing. So then Obi-Wan has a quick conversation with Reva, and we learn a lot about her in this sequence, right? We get the meat of what's going on here. Kenobi is looking for alternatives to fighting, right? It is the quintessential Obi-Wan Kenobi of it all, and this is a true indicator that we have our friend back in some way, shape, or form, right? Uh, he's stalling for time to save the people. In a way, it is very self-sacrifice of him. It's very Jedi at the end of the day. Now, Obi-Wan is able to discern that Reva was a youngling when Anakin attacked the temple the night of Order 66. We got flashbacks to it too, right? It's brutal that we get to see Anakin actually strike down the children that we only saw or assumed happens in Revenge of the Sith. Um, that's frankly how she knows that Vader is Anakin, right? She's able to connect the dots there and all of that. Reva says that she thought he was there to help, Anakin being, and she was too weak to stop him and hid amongst the bodies until the morning. Right? She was fearful. Her revenge and her seeking of revenge is what kept her alive and festering in order to get her revenge. They were the only family I knew, and he slaughtered them. She said. So then Vader, not Vader, but Kenobi understands you are hunting him, right? Reva is literally climbing the ladder of the Inquisitors to take out Vader herself. Apologize for the cough here. Let me take a sip of my water here. We're doing pretty good up until this point in the episode if I've only coughed once. So that's a good indicator that I'm getting much better here, folks. Thanks for your patience again as I heal. Um so obviously, revenge has consumed her similar to the way that it consumes Vader. They both turn to the dark side in a moment of weakness looking for strength. Although they may convince themselves that what they are doing is for an aspect of good, frankly, anytime you invoke the dark side, the good cause gets twisted. Let us remember what Yoda does say in The Empire Strikes Back, right? Anger, fear, aggression, the dark side of the Force are they. Easily they flow, quick to join you in a fight. But if you once start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Consume you it will, as it did Obi-Wan's apprentice. Reva continues to be a fascinating character to me because of this. She is using Obi-Wan this entire time as the bait by which to confront Vader and to blindside him. It's an amazing character twist, if you ask me. I think we all had suspicions that she would be one of those kids from that opening sequence, but who could have imagined that the story beat would ultimately be hers at the end of the day? Reva then asks a hard question to Kenobi when he offers to help. She's like, "Do you really want Anakin dead? Where were you while he was killing my friends? He was your Padawan. Why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you save us? I don't need your help." Now, to be fair, Obi-Wan Kenobi doesn't even get a chance to respond here. Reva is so quick to assume that she is alone and the only person who can bring him down, Vader that being. Let's unpack what she said here, though, as again, I think it is quite unfair to Obi-Wan in my opinion. Now, does Obi-Wan really want Anakin dead? Now, I will give her this. I don't think so. My guess is no. Otherwise, he would have fully placed the final blow to him on Mustafar instead of walking away while he was burning like a crisp. Now, in fact, Obi-Wan even said that it was over and pleaded for him not to continue fighting. Obi-Wan then cutting off Anakin's limbs, was a self-defense action. The suffering that Anakin underwent of his own doing and cause, right? And no, that may be a fair point. However, he did confront him, right? He did confront Anakin, and he did do his best to try and bring him back if he could. Anakin was way too twisted by that point, and there was nothing that Obi-Wan could have done in my opinion, other than try and talk to him, and he was not ready for that conversation at that time. Also, Obi-Wan was trying to fight for his own life at the same time. He was literally the first Jedi attempted to be murdered through Order 66. through the broadcast. He was on Utapau. He wasn't even close to the temple. He was trying to end the Clone War. He was hunting down Grievous. But he does come back to the temple and he changes the distress code. And then he seeks to find Anakin and the Emperor along with Yoda. Now, come on. Obi-Wan did a lot in the post-66 time frame there that led to his new purpose. And the other accusations are a little unfair too, but I do not think that she would accept anything that he would say then anyways there, right? She has already chosen the singular and lonely path, aka the dark side. Now, the retreat sequence does see the end of Tala and Ned B, which is so unfortunate. I mean, they were really both standouts again for this series. I hope we get more stories with them in some way, shape, or form in the future. I would love like a path comic series or book explaining about this and giving us more information about these characters, because they really did a great job fleshing out some of these side characters in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Now, the moment that the two of them have before Ned B shuts down is really tragic, and don't ever tell me that droids do not have emotion in Star Wars. The actions of Ned B and Tala are really the thesis statement of this series in some way. Actions speak louder than words, and may the Force be with them. Now, again, we get some of that juxtaposition between the earlier fight sequence with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and it's just incredible. We learn that admitting defeat is important, and knowing when to fight for another day. Again, understanding your enemy, these are all important facets of being a Jedi. There are other ways to fight, as Obi-Wan Kenobi does say, and he gives himself up for the greater good, allowing the others time to escape. Kenobi realizes that he is bringing Vader to Reva, right? It's not the other way around. He tries to speak reason to Reva once again. All he will see is me. Vader is literally all Kenobi cares about. Oh, or I should say, actually, Kenobi is literally all that Vader cares about, and is a weakness that blinds him to everything else that is happening. We cut back again to the fight training sequence of Coruscant, and Anakin thinks that he has Kenobi beaten, but obviously Kenobi is a person that sees the larger picture here, right? Your need for victory, Anakin, it blinds you. Then Anakin is perplexed by what Obi-Wan Kenobi has just said. Thank you for your patience, everyone, as I still coughing and all that stuff, but we're making our way through it here. Take another sip of water, and we're back into it. Now, can I just say that smile from Hayden Christensen after he says to Obi-Wan, "It is over," is just perfect. I mean, come on, take me back to the summer of 2003, everyone. That smile is the exact same. Now, Obi-Wan Kenobi does break free from his very, very minimal security attachment of 2 stormtroopers. Leia succeeds, and the hangar doors are able to open up, enabling escape to be possible. Now, in the midst of the turmoil of the escape, Haja does unfortunately drop the comm link, the one that holds that voicemail message that Bail sent out to Obi-Wan. Vader literally pulls a transport out of the sky, everybody. What strength, what power. He rips open doors, etc., basically destroys the entire ship. But the blindness of Vader, assuming that was the ship Kenobi and the others were on, was his undoing. It allows the other one behind it to escape, and then we cut back to Coruscant. Obi-Wan eventually bests Anakin without his lightsaber even. Anakin in the fight sequence got too cocky and complacent. He missed an opportunity, and his closed-mindedness was his undoing in that battle. Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "Your need to prove yourself is your undoing. Until you overcome it, a Padawan will you still be." It is great to see this warm moment between Padawan and Master, and how it applies directly to this episode. Vader has always had a blind spot for Kenobi, and he still has more lessons to learn. He clearly failed to learn that one, even as the years have gone by. Reva tries to take her revenge on Vader as he's looking at the leaving ship. He uses the Force to stop her in her tracks. Vader doesn't even need to use his lightsaber against her. He's just using his incredible Force strength abilities. Vader splitting the Inquisitor lightsaber and giving Reva the other half back to fight with is so metal, though. Come on. The sequence when he drops his part of the lightsaber, then takes hers from her hand and pulls them both back together. Ugh, just so epic. Reva gets flashbacks, though, PTSD flashbacks, if you will, to when she was stabbed as a kid by Vader. Just it's incredible how the past repeats itself in this episode. Vader says, "Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling?" Vader knew who she was and what she was doing. Perhaps she played her cards too well, and Vader could smell it from a mile away. He also clearly remembered that she was one of the Padawans whom he tried to slaughter that evening. "You are of no further use," he says. Perhaps he was using her all this time, really, to bring Kenobi back out into the open. We also learn, everybody, that the Grand Inquisitor is still alive. I had a feeling that he wasn't going anywhere. He has the great line that has been very frequently in the King household lately. "Revenge does wonders for the will to live, don't you think?" It really is a mantra for the dark side. Am I right? I mean, come on now. I mean, let's think through this here. Anakin being burned alive, the Grand Inquisitor getting stabbed, Reva getting stabbed, uh, the Emperor still being alive in Episode 9 in some way, shape, or form. Uh, Maul is another great example, right? That's very frequently common throughout Star Wars. Right? Come on. He takes his pin back and says, "We will leave you where we found you, in the gutter where you belong." Reva is left behind to die, and as far as I understand, they're closing that book on her. They don't. I don't think they care at all about her. She dies there. She gets off planet. They don't really care at all. But it appears that her rage and revenge will keep her going, just like it did for the Grand Inquisitor and so many beyond it, that those that embrace really the dark side. Now, the Empire is tracking the ship and following them. The hyperdrive is down, so wherever they land, they will be hunted down. Kenobi can tell that something is wrong, though. He can sense it. Perhaps it is Reva discovering the broken comlink from Bail. If he has learned of the child, I will head to Tatooine, Owen. We need help with this boy. Owen will need help with the boy. Sorry. Raven knows about Owen from earlier on. Come on, I mean, like, that was part one's big, like, ooh, that's how close they got to potentially finding Luke. This is great. I mean, what's going to happen here in part 6, everybody? The episode concludes with that epic look at the Lars homestead, and an onlook at young Luke Skywalker sleeping in his bed. And with that, that is the close of part 5 of this epic Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Now, we have one more episode to go, ladies and gentlemen, and what a great episode this one was. Obi-Wan Kenobi is just really this gift that keeps on giving for, frankly, all Star Wars fans. The thematic elements are all there. The way this episode was able to just really understand what Anakin and Darth Vader is as a character overall, what the shortcomings are, what the things that make him tick are. It just is really great to have that really on a granular level for all Star Wars to use as a foundation for moving forward. Come on, that's great. The symbolism of the earlier fight training sequence and how the past can influence the future if we do not learn from it was a constant theme. And I cannot wait for the finale. And I can't wait to talk about it all with you here. This episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi may have been some of the greatest Star Wars of the Disney era, and I am looking forward to way, way, way more characters and stories from this era and time period in the future. So, with that, everybody, that is all that I had on my notes for this part 5 episode of the epic. I mean, come on now. This is an epic cinematic experience. Uh, we got so much exposition about character motivations, what's going on overall for these characters in their heads, and frankly, with the playing field is set for this epic finale that is coming up now. I cannot wait to get into it all with you. I have had several. I'm starting to take my notes already. This is a really, really special series, and I'm really pleased to get into all this with you as we conclude our look at Obi-Wan Kenobi. So with that, everybody, I hope that you have a wonderful week. We'll be back next week. I don't think we'll be doing 2 episodes next week, just because of timing and scheduling. But we will be back with part 6, concluding the entire look overall at the series that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm very excited to get into all that with you all. But until then, be sure to share the show, expand the campfire seats around the Force Ghost Conversations proverbial campfire, right? Let's keep growing our numbers here. Let's expand this community. Connect with us on our social media channels: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Would love to hear from you and your thoughts about this amazing episode. Um, and let's continue to keep the conversation going. But until then, everyone, I will I will put some questions on our social page. Hope you interact with them. And I hope that you all have a great week at home. I hope you're staying safe and healthy and all that stuff as we all recover. And again, thank you for your patience and understanding, as I too am on the recovery train here. But until then, everyone, may the Force be with you. Take care and get ready for more Kenobi next week.